Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope everyone's having a lovely Christmas day. Whilst I sort out this, hope you're all having a lovely Christmas. Doing something a bit different. Thought I'll just build Lego and have a stream. Also see if anyone's about. If anyone wants to have a conversation, feel free to jump on, drop me a comment or DM me, and I'll invite you on. But I thought I'll just jump on and hang around since I'm online anyway, and I've had my Christmas dinner or meal, so haven't got much planned. So I thought I'd just have a bit of a chill, and if anyone wants to join me, feel free to drop me a note. But either way, if you fancy just watching me build Lego whilst I just chill, feel free to have a conversation with me, drop me a note, let me know how your Christmas is going, if you got your presents that you want, or you're just simply relaxing and just chilling and just recharging. So I hope you're having an awesome day so far. So I will be dipping camera to camera wherever, but also I need to check for comments as well if there's any comments that come through. So I got my own little Christmas gift for myself. So if anyone is around and wants to jump on, feel free to drop me a note. But other than that, I will be building my Lego and seeing what's going on around the internet. And if you're around, feel free to drop and say hi, drop me a note, let me know where you are tuning from, what you're up to, how's your Christmas going, what are you all doing? I will just put my music on as well. Merry Christmas to you all. And if you're around, feel free to say hi and let me know you are around, or that you're just liking watching me build Lego, because that's exactly what I'm going to do. So, the Mandalorian kit set. The Child and the Mandalorian. Right, who should I build first? Let's build the Child first. It's gonna be upside down for you guys. It's a different Christmas this year. Since normally I get to spend it with my fiance and her family, and this year I don't get to do that, so it's been a bit weird. It's been a bit off. It's one of those Christmases where it just seems like another day, where I'm either working on either business stuff or other projects that I've got on. So it doesn't feel like as if it is Christmas. Actually, today just feels like I've just done normal project work on websites, building out my own website stuff, some project pages, and working on some clients' websites. It feels like a normal another work day, to be honest, and it doesn't actually feel like Christmas. I suppose it's different when you are by yourself. I even had a chat with one of my fellow CEO friend earlier, and he's just spending it at a hotel by himself, at his hotel apartment, all by himself. He is like a multi-millionaire, but yeah, he's spending Christmas by himself, and it's just fascinating, like what definition we attach Christmas to. Yes, it should be something we spend with loved ones and quality time with friends. But sometimes, even he said, he's just grateful that he gets to enjoy his own company, which is very unusual for him, being that he is like, I suppose, late 20s. And he should be going out or, with his partner, even though he's single. He was just grateful that he gets to enjoy his own company. So everyone's got their own perception, everyone's got their own definition about how Christmas should be or what it is like. But I suppose, as long as you enjoy and you're okay with your own company, it's okay to be by yourself and being in your own company, I suppose. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, that's probably the best place to be, is to be able to be with yourself in times when you are alone and by yourself, is to enjoy your own company. Whoever says that is, you need to spend it with friends or family, maybe they haven't experienced being alone by themselves. And if you haven't been alone by yourself previously, it can be difficult. But it's not impossible. But it's just fascinating that people say you should do this and you should do that. And then, like Tony Robbins says, you should all over yourselves because you live by other people's definitions and other people's perception. It's a tough one if you haven't done it before. And if you haven't made a choice to, like this year, everyone's forced to be alone, forced to have more me times, and I suppose, forced to be alone, really, forced to be with themselves, and really, excuse me, figure out what's important, what's priority. And as long as you are happy in your own company, and if you're not, then the question is, why not? I suppose happiness is defined differently for everyone, right? Some people think happiness is about material stuff. It's about having gifts. And this discussion I was actually having with my friend earlier. He said, it's funny that in our 20s, we used to chase the material stuff. We used to chase all the fancy cars, the big houses, and the latest gadgets, the new consoles, the branded clothing, and all sorts, right? And now these days, we, or some of us, can be just happy just in our own company with a book, with a film, and really be with ourselves. And it's a tough one, right? So everyone's got, like, the whole working from home thing hasn't really changed for me, really. I'm used to working from home, and the working behind the computer and working from home has always been something that I've just done, I suppose, in the whole 20 years of being online. 20 years of being in the online world anyway. Like, I used to be hanging around the internet when I was like 13 or 10. So the whole being behind the computer and just working in the digital realm has been normal to me. And for someone that's introverted anyway, like the meme that I posted about, what was it? What was that meme that I posted last time? It's the one with the one about the pandemic with the cat. Like, I can't remember. It's a really good meme as well. I got really good engagement on that meme for some reason. Not sure if the cat's got anything to do with it, but you never know. You never realize how antisocial you are until there's a pandemic and your life doesn't really change that much. And I still need to reply to people on that one, actually. Yeah, so you never realize how antisocial you are until there's a pandemic and your life doesn't really change that much. I can really resonate with that one, because I've never really enjoyed going out and stuff anyway, apart from some socials. Hey Kirsty, how are you? How's your Christmas? Did you get stuffed with food? I am making Lego. I'm making the Mandalorian, or the child. I'm making the child. And then the Mandalorian next. Yeah, how's your what was I talking about? Being antisocial and being someone that's introverted, and your lifestyle doesn't really change despite a pandemic, which is fascinating. Yeah, so the whole being alone by yourself with Christmas and stuff, and being in your own company, something that's I've been used to, and yeah, really my life hasn't really changed that much, other than the fact that I really noticed who's actually more of a priority in my life right now. It's I've found out more people who's been more appreciative of my company and I suppose me in general, not just my expertise in digital marketing and coaching and all that stuff, the people who actually really value me as a friend, I started to realize more about that over this pandemic. Like, who texts you, who checks up on you. Hey Thierry, Merry Christmas to you too, bro. So who checks up on you? Who's really taking the time out to see how you are, right? Like, I know it's no one's fault, but some people who's pretty close to me didn't even realize I was made redundant from my full-time job. And that's just down to how much, we talk to each other, right? And even how much we check up on each other. And it's no one's fault, but you just start realizing who's actually checking up on you and who's not. And there's the whole thing about like, am I valued? Would I be missed if I just disappeared the next day? Life is nervous. It's different when you're building something different, I suppose. Yeah, when your focus has changed, you start realizing who's around and who's not. And I suppose during this time, I started to realize who is, around in my life right now that I truly care about, and who even I'm guilty of this, right? I haven't been able to check up on everyone because I'm just so busy and focused on doing my own stuff and building my own, trying to get my head above water and not drown, whilst trying to secure, I don't know, suppose my own journey, finding out where I want to go, what I want to create. What type of kind of business I want to build, whether it's going to be an agency or it's going to be a coaching business. Even for the coaching side, I enjoy it and I love it. I still haven't really given it a huge amount of thought of building it as a full-time business yet. It's still just part of what I do, what I stand for, how I help people. But it's never crossed my mind that I want to like make it like a business, because I just enjoyed helping people, and I don't really charge people that much for the coaching. And this is where my mentors would just tell me off and be like, why are you not charging for your time and all sorts, right? But I generally just enjoy helping people grow and develop. And it's just been one of those. Even setting up an e-commerce store and selling my own products and merchandises, I'm just thinking, yes, I can do that, but is that something I want to pursue? Other than building my own branding and my own clothing and just putting my own logo on stuff, it doesn't really, I don't know. It's okay, Kirsty. Just remember me when you go big. Just remember me when you're big, and support me then. Let's help get you making more money online. And that's the next thing that we're going to talk about. Hint, hint. So you can start growing bigger for your streaming business. I'm keen to see how far I could take you with your streaming business. So be ready and be prepared. Because that's something that I'm working with Robin. For those that do not know, I am working with Robin at Coaching for Geeks as a coach, and coach the people in Coaching for Geeks. I suppose that's the next plan. I just keep shoving people, hoping they listen. You, Rob. Yeah, that works too. I appreciate that, by the way. Thank you. Where was I? Where was I in my build? I think I skipped ahead a few steps. Never mind. Okay, I found myself. Yeah, so let's get working with Robin at Coaching for Geeks. The next steps is to see who else I could start helping in the community and help them with their streaming business and see what other results that I could help in the community. Yeah, Robin's been having, he's at capacity at the moment, so I want to help him out, and it's always been my goal to help him with Coaching for Geeks anyway, because I've always said to him that he started a community that I never dared to do. He actually went and built a community for geeks, Coaching for Geeks, and that was something that I always wanted to do, but I never had the guts to. So I have huge admiration for Robin for doing that and stepping out of his comfort zone to do so. And I'm just very, very grateful that I get to play a little part of that and help him with Coaching for Geeks, because I know how much the community needs the help with growing out as online business owners, as entrepreneurs, as people who wants to build their own business really, and create their own freedom, doing what they love, which is streaming, playing games, and creating content. And the issue that I do see with the geek community, shall we say, or the introverted guys, or the more just the ones that's a bit more shy, I suppose. And this is a problem that I saw for myself, which is why I started personal development myself, is because I'm so behind the scenes person. I never really spoke up, and I never really showed up either behind the scenes. I was always behind the scenes. I was hiding behind someone else. I was hiding someone who I would perceive as an authority. And therefore, people wouldn't take much notice of me and know what I do and how I help people, which is why I made a huge effort in becoming a speaker, a trainer, a coach, a facilitator, and someone who's really able to transform people's lives. And in order to do that, it meant I have to step out of being an introvert, step out of being shy, step out more and start speaking my truth and start showing up more, which is why you've seen me create more online videos, becoming more vocal, and really just showing up. Because I want to get beyond my comfort zone and beyond my limitations that I have and help others with it. And that's the thing I see about the geek community, is very introverted, very shy. We want to make a difference. We want to help others, but we don't know how, or we won't speak up because we don't feel like we have a voice, or we feel like this imposter syndrome about like things like, who am I to tell people what to do? Who am I to help people? Who am I to show people what they can do? Who am I to inspire others, right? And all of that was all things that held me as well. And it's the same thing that I've noticed is holding back people in the, introvert, shy, geek community as such. It's not just a geek community, by the way. It's it's most people, most introverted people, I would say. is that they're not willing to speak up. They're not willing to show up. They're not willing to show their face. They're not willing to take compliments. They're not willing to show off really what they can do and how great they are. And that's another thing. Being afraid of your own greatness was something that I struggled with for a very long time. And which means stepping in my own power. Like really acknowledging myself about how much I've achieved, how much I can help people, how much I've helped others in their journey, in their transformation. And it's something I struggled with a big time, is taking compliments. Is when someone goes, Jono, you're so amazing at what you do. What you charge, people should be paying twice that or triple that, whatever. But I'm just like, oh, no. It's all you. Like, even now, I still do it to this day, right? It's still a huge obstacle of mine. But I'm getting better at accepting compliments and accepting offers, which is why I started doing crazy offers like, let me help you remove your technical headaches. And you can buy me a Amazon gift, which is part of my PC build, by the way. Because I want to start be open to accepting gifts. And that's one way of doing it. Is have a wish list where people go, let me treat you or let me buy you something. And it's like, okay, here's my list. Take your pick, right? And obviously you have something backward for it. Which is probably a much cheaper way of getting my time and my attention. Because when I am charging people on websites and strategy calls, I do charge £100 an hour. Or my websites, when I'm building it for people, start from £1,200. So to get my time and attention, that's one easiest low cost option of doing so. Now, where was I? I feel like I messed up this build. Okay, I'm back on track. How could I mess up when I'm just following a guide, right? And so that's another trick, is if people want to buy your time or they want your attention, have a gift list on Amazon where they could just pick something out and be like, I want to buy your time, I'll buy you a book, or buy you a PC part, or buy anything on your wish list that you want, right? That's probably a great way of doing so. And in the introvert shy community, most people are so afraid of being behind the camera, or in front of the camera, even not behind the camera, in front of the camera. And if you are building an online business and you aren't showing up in front of people, and you aren't being the person who you say you are, a lot of people won't be able to connect with you, and they will struggle to understand what is it you do, what is it you stand for, what is it you value, what is it you show up for. And most people get this wrong. It's a lot of people make the mistake of saying, I'm showing up a lot of the times, or I'm showing up every day, but no one's buying from me. So this is the question I ask, is what are you posting online? Not just memes, which I do every day, by the way, just to have a laugh, to start off the day, but also what type of content are you putting out there? Who are you engaging, and what type of content are you engaging with? Yes, you can show up and like people's posts, which doesn't say much, but if you are commenting and actually putting it, willing to take time out to comment and actually provide a a valuable content. All right. And yes, Kirsty, I am talking about networking. Well done. You have to connect with people who share similar values. People buy from people. Just because we've connected together for many years doesn't mean you have to buy from me, right? We might not share the same values. We might not share the same work ethics. We may not even share the same similar values, standards even, right? Not everyone will buy from you. Not everyone needs to buy from you. But most of the time, it's who do you know or who do they know that's going to help you and connect you with someone else, right? 95% of the time when I'm networking, when I'm connecting with new people, I am thinking of who can I connect you or that person with in my network. I'm networking for someone else, not for myself. I connect others with people in my network that I already know and not for myself, right? Yes, I can, we may share a similar network, we may be in the same industry, but I am thinking of who can I provide you with or that person with to connect with to help them with an issue that they have. That's how I network. I don't network for myself. I network for other people. And that's why I suppose my network is so big, is because I connect people with other people. And there's been many times that I've connected, funny enough, I've connected more couples than anything else in my network, which is an interesting one. It's never been a intentional one. It's usually because they have an issue that I feel like they have, and that person can provide a solution. But then they somehow turn into a couple for some reason. Previously, anyway. And so I think I've lost my track. I'll train of thought now. I think I also built this wrong as well. Oh dear. This is what happens when you are just hey Michael, I am building the baby Yoda. Or the kid. Whatever you call it, the child. From Mandalorian. I've lost myself. So yeah, the challenge in the community. Like, I'm gonna have to disassemble this and rebuild because I've lost myself now. Terrible. It's cute, but I've lost my train of thought and I lost where I was building. And I think I've just built this wrong, so I'm going to disassemble it quickly and refollow. Actually look at the guide instead of assuming that I'm building it correctly, because I'm not. Oh, what was I up to? Where was I? Kirsty, networking. So I'm networking for other people, and I'm rarely networking for myself. Sometimes that again is quicker than trying to backtrack. Yeah, I know, right? Start building a website. So might as well start again than trying to fix the code. So networking. A lot of people that I see, even for myself, struggle with networking with others. And if you are an introverted person you may struggle with networking and connecting with new people. and you'd be more comfortable in your own circle, that you're not willing to step out of that circle and connect with new people. Simple as that, really. And if you see the successful streamers, the big guys, they're really good at what they do, or they've really figured out a solution of be really good at what they do, which means everyone will notice who they are, and they don't really have to step out or step up even. They don't have to network with people that much. And that is why, but the thing is, the successful people, they also have managers or someone else do the connecting for them. And that's another crucial point, is working with a partner that can subsidize your weakness. So if you struggle with connecting with people, one of the easiest ways is partner up with someone else who's an extrovert or who's just really good at connecting with others, that you filling in the skills that you're not comfortable with. Because and you don't have to go at this journey alone, right? Which is why the big content creators, they collaborate like mad. You see the big top streamers, the top content creators, they have teams, man. They have like teams of 3, 5, 6, 10 people, like a proper project. They bounce off each other's brand or personal brands. And when they are together, they're a massive, strong brand. But when they are working individually, they have their own personal brand as well. I'm not saying that not everyone has to step up. Everyone needs to build their own personal brand. Simple as. You all have to stand for something. You all need to know what you stand for and what you value. And the more you step out to do what you do, either you're really great at what you do, or you have people that complement what you can't do. And that's what I've noticed with myself as well, is the big struggles that I had as an introvert, but also someone that's just behind the scenes, is that I played lone wolf probably 90% of my life. I've just been a lone wolf. And so when now I am working with other people and partnering up with other people as well, is that more of my strengths is being drawn out by them, because they've been able to fill gaps skill sets and things that I don't have, which is funny and interesting. And this is something that most solopreneurs and lone wolves will struggle with, or introverts anyway. Introverted people, we don't really connect with people, or if we do, we connect with more introverts. We're great at connecting with more introverts, which doesn't really help, because what we should be doing is connecting with people who's able to fulfill skill sets that we don't have. And also, being able to speak clearly on camera is another skill. I never actually noticed this until I started doing Toastmasters with public speaking. Is the number of ums and ahs that I have when speaking to camera or speaking in general has been eliminated by at least 70 to 80%. I used to would be umming and ahhing a lot on camera. Whenever I am streaming or interviewing people, I used to be doing ums and ahs at least every other sentence. And I know this because I watch back my videos, right? And I watch back because I want to evaluate myself and see how well I came across on video. And I noticed that every time I'm thinking, of answering a question, I would be like, ah. And it was a really bad habit of mine. So presenting on camera is another skill that you need to master. And I've seen plenty of streamers make this mistake. I wouldn't. What is it? A mistake? I suppose it makes the communication less effective or comes across less assertive. When you're and ahhing every other sentence, it makes you feel like as if you're very uncertain of what you're saying. And when you're a business owner or running a business or running a streaming business, and you're trying to put a point across, but you're still hesitant, and ahhing, your point doesn't come across as effective as it could. What else? What are you saying, Kirsty? You're so good at connecting folk together. Yes, I get tongue-tied all the time. It takes so much practice to not say and I every time. Yeah, this is something that I've noticed a lot of streamers do. Is they get really nervous. Very, very nervous. It's okay. Just breathe. Remember, you can breathe. Take a pause. And some of these skills are very common, but we don't think about that, especially when we aren't used to be speaking to people or connecting with people. And it could be one of the stumbling blocks that we have when we are presenting. The thing is about streaming business, you're a presenter. You're playing a presenter role. You're, in essence, a broadcaster. You're broadcasting your content across the web. And even with the top broadcasters that I've seen, even the ones that are on TV, they have anxiety. They have struggles with pauses and presenting as well, right? But this is where you get to get practice, especially nowadays, right? With streaming, content, recording, everything is all easily watchable online to review. And if you don't watch the streams back, it's probably a good to do because you get to see how you come across in your facial expressions, how you talk, how you put your point across, and how you react to people's comments, right? You see some people get passive aggressive to comments or trolls, like dealing with trolls and haters. That's another skill. How do you deal with trolls and haters? For introverts like ourselves, we would feel offended. We would want to just quit the stream, curl up into a ball and cry, right? We would feel so hurt, so damaged, and so annoyed because no one likes our content or that person just happens to be a hateful person and just a troll that just wants to see you be hurt. And this is another dangerous game of playing online, right? Is that you need to be okay with trolls and be prepared for negativity. As much as it sucks, you got to be aware of how to deal with negativity and also being prepared to protect your own energy. And it's a big game. Well, it's a big skill to learn anyway. It's one that I struggled with. Being someone that was bullied a lot when I was a child, as a kid, as the only Chinese kid in school, confidence was really low for me. I never had any confidence until I was probably about 14, 15 when I started taking martial arts. Even then, that confidence only managed to pull me through school and college. I had to take up other responsibility roles in order to push my confidence up. Like in college, I took up the class rep, as in the class representative, so I could represent the class as the class rep to take on feedback and concerns from the class back to the college board at that time. That again was building my own confidence by taking responsibility and stepping up, right? And that pulled me through college until I got to the point where university, again at university, I was the class rep for multimedia design and technology, which is my course. I was the course rep even for level 1. Then I was course rep for level 2, level 3, level 5, level 4 placement year, right? But every year I was course rep because I wanted to more responsibility. I wanted to step up. I wanted to build more confidence. And also I started my own what did I start? I started my own community, right? It was Association of British and Chinese University Students, which is called Abacus. And I was the founder or co-founder and president for 5 years for that society. Again, it was to build confidence. For someone who had low confidence, low self-esteem, low self-worth, but yet I wanted to lead a community of about 100 plus people, was no easy task. But I enjoyed every moment of it because I got to connect with many of my friends who are still great friends to this day, but also built up so much confidence that I was able to do what I do and connect with more amazing people. Like I got to connect with other university presidents, other university committee members, and for a geeky, introverted, shy kid that had no confidence, it's a big step to be running or leading a society and looking after 100 plus members. And of course, having an amazing committee team, working with a committee team as well, helps with dealing not just being a lone wolf, because as much as one person can make a big difference, it's easier when you have a big crew, big team who is aligned with what you do and support you, right? I could have never pulled through any of that without their support. So, but it just shows, right? Throughout these few years that I was playing the entrepreneurship game, I never really knew how. But everything started to make sense when I look back now, connecting the dots going backwards. And I should really get on with this build. But big skills to do. So yeah, being an introvert, running a business isn't easy, but there's many skills you can learn, many skills you can do, many skills you can use, and many other networks you can plug into as well to help you grow, help support you. And you don't have to be a lone wolf. What else have I seen on the streams? Yeah, I've seen on streams some streamers and every other sentence, and they kind of neutralize their points and their communication. It becomes less effective. which doesn't help if you are you want to push out quality content, is that people connect with you more easier. Oh, so it's done, and you are always concerned when you have loads of single bits that's hanging around. So here we are. That's one of two. I suppose I could hide these pieces somewhere. Does anyone actually put these pieces anywhere, or they just like throw them away, or do you try and plug it onto the part and be like, hey? What else am I seeing in streamers? A lot of the streamers that they're creating content, but they don't know what they're creating for, what type of content they're creating, what they stand for, in essence. And when you are chasing the trend, and you're into the trend, and you want to create content for the trend, trust me, you would not be interested in carrying on anymore. For instance, if you're creating content for things like Fortnite and you don't care about Fortnite, nor do you enjoy playing Fortnite, then it's time to change, because it's not going to be, you won't be passionate about it, you won't be interested in doing it. You'll only create content that you hate and you dislike. And I'm saying this because I never really enjoyed Fortnite. I never enjoyed playing Fortnite. And I'm not really interested in Fortnite at all. So if someone told me to create content for Fortnite because it's on the trend, chances are I'll do it for probably half a day and be like, screw it, I'm not doing it. So creating content that you enjoy and knowing, is it part of your brand? Is it part of you? Is it part of who you are? All important as well. So, for instance, I see people jumping from content to content all the time because they don't know what they want to create. And I made this mistake too, right? I was creating content for health and wellness. Yes, I was interested in losing weight. Yes, I did like losing weight. I did like the things that I was eating and pushing out. But am I really passionate about health and wellness? I know it's important, so therefore I incorporate it in my lifestyle. But if you told me to create content around it, not my area, to be honest. I'm not. I'm not. It's nothing to do to lie. I'm not even lying about it. It's just like not passionate about it. I know it's important. I know it needs to be incorporated in my lifestyle. But if you told me to create content around it, no. That imposter syndrome feeling is horrible when it feels like making new content will make everyone leave you. Yeah. The thing is with imposter syndrome, as long as you know you're aligned with the content that you're creating, and it is something you're passionate about and you are interested in the content, then imposter syndrome doesn't really, it's always going to be there, but it doesn't play a big part. As long as you truly are passionate about the subject. Like, I'd happily talk about productivity, inspiration, motivation, self-awareness, digital marketing, system softwares, technology, gadgets. It's because I'm passionate about it. I'm happy to talk about those things. Love and relationships, yeah, all day long. I love love and relationships, right? That's why I have the Late Chat Show dedicated to that topic, because I love that subject. If you are passionate about the subject, talk about it. Is it purposeful? Now, as long as it's just purposeful to you, that's all that matters, really. You will connect with your tribe and your audience that enjoy your content. Someone told me to start talking about affiliate marketing. I know there's other people that are more passionate about affiliate marketing than I am. I know it's useful. I know how to use it, but it's not something I push through in my content. But I know how to set it up. I'm happy to tell you how to set it up. There's a lot of the technical hows that I do like to talk about, which I do need to create more content on, is things like starting an online business, creating an online shop, how to make more money online, right? Those are the topics I'm passionate about. But when it comes to creating or running those businesses online on a consistent basis, then it's like am I really? No. And I'm not sure why. Like, even running e-commerce stores, I know how to set them up. I know how to make loads of money on them, but because I'm not interested in the products that I want to set or that I have available to me at the moment, I don't want to sell them. But if I was to help someone else set up, I'm more than happy to. But if you told me to run them, I'd be like, nope, not interested at all. Which is weird. Everyone's like, Jono, you're missing the trick of making money online. It's like, am I? I'm happy to help other people make loads of money online, but when it comes to myself, I'm very, very, there you go, my self-worth issue, right? Again, something that's holding me back. So when it comes to myself, marketing in my own material and my own products and services, big struggle. Market someone else, talk about someone else, happy to. And this is where my self-worth issue comes in big time, and I know it. I'm very aware of it, and which is why I'm setting up systems and processes to help me eliminate that. Things like the Amazon wishlist. Like, if I was to buy it, I could easily buy it for myself right now. The whole PC build myself right now. But I want to use it as an experiment, just to test my self-worth. And you gotta sell yourself, not in that way. You're gonna pimp me out. Yeah, selling yourself is never easy, even for introverts. We struggle with this one big time. Which is why you set up affiliates and partnerships, right? So people could sell you instead. Which is why I partnered up with a lot of other people. It's because they can sell me better than I sell myself. When people go, oh, Jono can do that. Jono can help you with that. Jono could provide you that solution. Call Jono, right? It's easier for them to tell someone else about me than it is for myself to go, I can help. Funny stories. Hey Mark, how's it going? Great to see you. Hope you're having a lovely Christmas. So selling yourself, right? This is why I had to jump into a sales academy, right, with Pete Scott, because selling for me is a big issue. Selling myself, selling my products and services, huge self-worth issues. Which is why I had to change my mindset and change my approach in how I show up and how I sell myself and how I help others as well, right? And again, I'm aware of that weakness, but I'm working on that weakness. And that's part of the self-awareness, is knowing where you're not strong at and where other people can help you help you out with. Definitely not perfect, right? And if you think you have got to the point where you are perfect, is the point you start limiting yourself. You start realizing that there's more to that limitation. Like, it's holding you back so much. You've got to step out of that. If you want to grow and you want to start achieving more of your goals and more of your dreams and visions and things that you want to do, you've got to start holding up your hand and say, I don't know this. How can I improve? How can I get better? What can I do differently that I haven't tried already? For instance, bigging up everyone else is so much easier than yourself. Yep. Absolutely. It's easier to big up other people than it is to big up yourself. And a lot of us aren't comfortable with that, right? We just aren't comfortable with bigging ourselves up, talking about how great we are, what we can help people with, how we can really solve people's problems and be their solution. That was big for me. That was really hard for me when I had to tell people how great I am in what I do. Absolutely hated it. My ego just went, how could you say that about yourself? You don't deserve it. You don't deserve so much love and support. You're not worthy of it, right? All of that just starts coming in your head. And I had it big time. And even now I still struggle with it. I'm still working on it, and it's a big part of it is working on the problem. It might not even be a problem, to be honest. It's more of a just knowing where your limitations are. And sometimes the limitations is closer than you think. And being comfortable with saying it's my I am the issue, I am the problem, is also one of the biggest self-awareness that you can have is admitting that you have the issue, right? And even with like addictions, right? Addictions, half the battle is won when you admit that you have a problem. When you admit that you have an issue, you're like, this is going really badly, and I think it's time to call for some help. Or something's not working out. Maybe it's time to call for help, even, right? Sometimes it's just easier. It's hard to ask for help. I'm guilty of this one as well. Asking for help is it's a huge, again, another challenge that I've had is asking for help, especially when I'm drowning. When we have so many things going on, and admitting asking for help is being vulnerable, afraid to be vulnerable. And this is the part where the men pride in me comes into it, especially for Asian people. We have this huge thing about pride and vulnerability. We have this saying where no man should cry when bleeding or something like that. No, you can bleed, but you can't cry. There's a Chinese saying for that. You can bleed, but you can't cry. So even if you are bleeding, you are not allowed to cry. You're not allowed to show emotions. And for 30 years of my life, I was struggling to be vulnerable. Well, I say it's 30 years, about 25 years. I was okay being vulnerable when I was about 26, 27. So it was about a few years back. When I started work with self-awareness and actually high inner performance work, I was okay being vulnerable, even now. But it's still one of those big things, right? You can cry, you can bleed, but you can't cry, right? For men, especially, being vulnerable and being able to ask for help has stopped me from pursuing a lot of things I wanted to go for, because my limitation was me, but I wouldn't reach out for help. I knew there was a big struggle and limitation to myself doing everything, but I wouldn't ask for help. And again, that was one of the biggest limitations. And for some reason, this block looks different. Anyway. So yeah, being okay with being vulnerable. Big thing. Loading, my brain was just processing there. It's like a loading bar. So being okay with asking for help, being okay with being vulnerable, doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're not worthy. It doesn't mean you're not good enough or whatever. It just means that you need to ask for help. And it's okay to ask for help. You may not have all the answers. Ask other people for answers. Ask those that are on the journey already for the answers, which is why I seeked out mentors and coaches. People who are already doing it better than I am. Just ask them. How can I learn more from you? How did you get to where you got to? What skills, what strategies did you use? What did you implement in your life that I could implement now? How can I get similar results? Not the same results, similar results, right? Similar results, not the same, because everyone's got a different process. Everyone's going to achieve different things. Everyone's got different goals. For instance, I started public speaking was because I was just fearful of crowds, and I was fearful of networking with new people. Speaking in public and doing public speaking helped me with that confidence. Therefore, now when I walk into a room full of random people that I don't know, I'm very comfortable speaking to them because I speak on stage to random people. And when you master and learn skills like that, it can up your confidence levels to help you with something else that you never imagined, right? It's weird how that works. Again, feel like I may have missed a step for this. I think I'm skipping things too much. I'm not looking at the instructions clear enough. There we go. Missed a big step there. Eye for detail. Attention for detail. That's another thing. Not my strong point. Which is why you should have copywriters and people who just look over what you do. At least what I do anyway. Nowadays, I have a copywriters that have a quick skim through with things that I want to put out, kind of. Because I like to just get things done, and I'm really bad with attention to detail. But sometimes just having another pair of eyes to go over your work just helps that little bit more. I suppose when you have a team, it's much easier when you don't. Again, knowing your weaknesses, knowing your strong points, knowing your strengths. What's that? Kirsty, raise hand. Raise her hand for what? Is this for admitting for vulnerability? And being okay with being vulnerable, right? That's one big thing for introverts or introverted people. It's that we are afraid of emotions. So important to know yourself. Absolutely. Merry Christmas, Tony, bro. Needing help. I think you've got better at that, Kirsty. Like, over the last few months, like, you did ask quite a few times in the group previously already. So it's not like you haven't been asking. It's just no one really volunteered to help until you were really calling out for. I can't remember. I think I noticed you was calling out for help a long time ago, and I thought you did get the help, or you managed to solve it because you went quiet again, and then you asked for it again, which was the point where it felt like you was on breaking point, which is when I reached out. So I suppose, you have got better with asking for help. What else was I talking about? Help. Yeah, asking for help, big thing. We tend to try and do everything by ourselves, and thinking that we have to have all the answers, which isn't true. We don't have to have all the answers. And this is the big part of the leadership, of being another big part of leadership is utilizing people around you who could do it better than you can. I mean, to be honest, I probably would have quit. Well, I'm glad you didn't, because you have accomplished so much, and it's a lovely and amazing to watch. So keep going, because you are just getting warmed up. This was another thing that I was talking with my entrepreneurship friend, CEO, earlier with as well, is when do you know when to quit and when to give up, and when you shouldn't be giving up? Because the thing is it easier to quit than it is to keep going? Absolutely. I think it is anyway. It's so much easier to just throw in the towel than it is to keep going. Like, having that resilience and the character to keep pushing forward, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. But in the long run, if it is really important to you, it'll be worth it. And that's the fun part. the fun part is doing what you love. As long as you really enjoy it and you love the thing that you do, it's so easy to give up and complain instead of actually doing things. Yeah. It is very easy to just give up and pack it all in instead of doing things, because doing things means you have to put in the work. And depending what your definition of work is, you may not like it. Like growing up, working hard means sacrificing family time. Like that was the definition I had. Watching my parents, because they used to work in a Chinese takeaway, 80% of their time is at the takeaway. Means they're working most of the time. And truth be told, I never had time with them. I never got to spend time with them. I'm not very close to my parents emotionally, and I'm not very close to my parents physically. Like the whole thing about, do you hug your parents? No. Do you kiss your parents? No. Do you share emotional stories with your parents? No. Like I have no meaningful connection in a way. It sucks. Like even at dinner, we don't really have personal conversations. It's very hard for me to connect with my parents because of the lack of intimacy and the definition of hard work that they had. Work hard and sacrifice time with your family. Like, so putting in work meant suffering for me. Hey Rob, how's it going? Merry Christmas, bro. Or Merry Christmas Eve, even for Boxing Day. Boxing Day for you. And so working hard meant sacrificing family time and intimacy and things like that. So a lot of that time I struggled with is the association with work. So I never put in the work. In my 20s, I would never enjoyed doing the work that much. In school, I never enjoyed studying because it meant working hard at studying, whatever, right? So I never had great grades. And it was luckily that I had the IT diploma where I studied computers and technology and gadgets and all sorts, and computer programming and web development and all that I've got to get enough decent grades to get into university. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it into university otherwise. Had I not had an IT diploma, because A-levels was out the window for me. I never enjoyed the maths, English, science stuff. My grades sucked. And also, I never enjoyed going to school because I was always bullied. So you see all these vicious circles coming in, right? But I was determined to get into university so I could make my parents proud, or at least be the first to graduate in my family. Because apparently that was more important than anything else. So I put my family first. It was not about me. But after I got to that point, when I got out of university and I had to start thinking for myself. I had to start working out what is it I want to do? What is it I enjoy doing? And luckily at university, I studied multimedia design and technology, which meant digital marketing, videography, photography, Photoshop, InDesign, video editing, After Effects, 3D rendering, all the fun stuff, and which meant marketing, right? So I was able to develop some sort of skill set in that career and get to a great decent position, I suppose. Work my way up from startups, SMEs to corporates within the digital marketing realm, helping companies make hundreds of thousands of pounds of money online, and then get got rid of by them because they didn't feel that online marketing was important for some reason. I don't know how the big sometimes I really don't know how the big corporate companies are thinking. But they have the money to waste, so there we are. The good thing is I had the knowledge and experience to help others make money online, and knowing the how-tos of setting up businesses online and grow a nice digital business. So at least I know the tools and strategies that do work for small, big, large corporate organizations, and I know what systems are good to use. Because when you're running a large corporate company, there's tools and systems that are much more beneficial to use than it is others. Now, working with small and agile business owners, entrepreneurs, and small businesses is that they're more flexible. They can adapt and be more agile as well. They could flex and change things pretty quickly, whereas corporations or large corporations struggle with that because they're more rigid. Have a lovely evening, Mark. Have a lovely Christmas holidays. I'll see you in the academy. As large corporations would struggle more with being so agile because they have more processes, they have more systems, they have more departments to worry about. And so when you are a solopreneur, small business, it's much easier for you to adapt with the changing times, such as now, when everyone has to be online, everyone has to move their business online, everyone has to sell online. And there's so much more opportunities to make money online as well. Much more low cost. So it's more cost effective to build an online business now than it is ever been. Like, I think I was working this out with one of my friends, and it costs less than $100 to set up online. Like, if you was to set up an online business right now, it's less than $100 to get started. The tough part is running with the idea and being consistent. It's easy to get started, but it's harder to be consistent. And I've seen this time and time again, even in my own business ventures, that it's great to get started. It's great to get the ball rolling. But to be consistent and work on it on a consistent daily basis, people give up. People lose interest. People change priorities. And they stop. They give up. I've seen this time and time again in my ventures as well. It's so easy to just stop and be like, this isn't worth my time anymore, and things like that, and give up, right? So much easier to do that than it is to keep going. And even I had to readjust a few things this year. Which projects to give up, which ones not to. Need to be more consistent on my idea in the new year. Having an idea is great. The hard part is being consistent in keeping going. Work on it every day. That's the tough part. Like, I could start multiple e-commerce websites right now to sell stuff, but do I have the consistency and passion to keep them going? Probably not. It's so easy to start online. Like, you should have an idea, be like, whoop, let's get that started. Following through with an idea is what's hard. Even having ideas, I can follow through and get it started. What's hardest is, like I mentioned, work on it day in, day out. If I have the passion and interest in that subject, then I would do it. But if it's just like any idea, like, for instance, if I was to sell toys online, probably can right now easily. Just set up an e-commerce store and whack a few eBay and Amazon links onto it, and then you pretty much have a store. But do I have interest and desire to keep driving traffic towards it and do the marketing for it? Probably might not be no. Unless it's maybe Lego. Maybe I should push Lego. Become a Lego affiliate. That probably could be a good one. Again, it's another idea that you could just, it's easy to get started, but what's harder is to keep following it through day in, day out. Which is why this is one of the big mistakes that I see most people do, is they jump around so often with the online world. It's like jumping from game to game, right? Find games that you enjoy, you like doing, you like playing, and play those. Not everyone has to be like a top shooter and a top RPG and a top strategist on League of Legends or whatever, right? If you don't enjoy the games, don't play them. Like, the thing with leagues and stuff, I don't think I ever enjoyed it. So therefore I never got into it, which was lucky, I suppose, because I know how consumed people can be in that game. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. If you enjoy it, you enjoy it, but I never really got into it. Like, I enjoyed more of Age of Empires games more than anything else. Things like Monster Hunter, those are the games that I enjoy. It was because, I suppose, they're quick missions and quick adventures. Like, they could be completed within 20 minutes, half an hour games. Whereas some of the League of Legends games that goes for the hours or something like that, it was like, what? I suppose RPGs is also another one that I enjoy because it's just mission and quest based. And yeah, finding what you enjoy, finding out what you love doing. For instance, I could talk about personal development all day, so therefore it's easy for me. Finding subjects that you enjoy, finding things you love, and push those. Because if you don't, then your passion dies, your drive dies, your motivation dies. You become less interested in the subject. And when all that happens, it becomes less fun, let's say. And when it starts becoming less fun, you stop enjoying it. therefore no good. What other mistakes have I seen online? Not having a strategy. I suppose this is one of the big ones, is the way area that I cover is people would just try and throw things out there and see what sticks. But instead of throwing things out there and seeing what sticks, is actually have a clear plan and then build on it and have a clear strategy as well. Which, by the way, I offer strategy calls for anyone that's needing a strategy online. So having a clear strategy in what you do, what you plan to do, and how you're going to get there as well. Have a clear plan of call to action, plan of action even. Last thing you want to do is start making loads of content, not knowing whether they're going to work or whether it's the right thing, wherever your audience is going to be and stuff like that. Are you making the right content for the people you want to talk to? So not having a clear plan of action, and trying to do everything by yourself. What other things have I covered today? Being a lone wolf, not asking for help, afraid of being weak or being seen weak by others, how people perceive you, right? How people see us. We're so afraid half the time. That it stops us from our own progress. Because we're so afraid of what other people think of us. So afraid of being judged. Or even being seen online. So many, a lot of people I've spoken to previously, they keep saying, "Oh, I don't want an online business because I don't want to be seen online." I was like, "Well, but you are building an online business, so you will be seen online." Funny place. You got to get your mindset in place as well. That's another thing. Again, how is there so many parts sitting around? Where do they come from? It looks different on here. I'm missing something. Something doesn't look right. that's when you know you're on the wrong page. You've done something wrong. Something doesn't look right. This is where Michael says it was true. It's easier to build from start. You're gonna have to take them apart. It's easy to disassemble it, break it apart, than it is to try and go back and backtrack. Ah, that makes sense. What was I talking about? I lost my train of thought again. Having a strategy. Why is it important to have a strategy? It's important to have a strategy so you know where you're going and where you're not going as well. And if you are on the right track, because a lot of the times we aren't measuring if we are on track. And we would just keep doing the same things over and over again, hoping for a different result, which isn't helpful if you don't know where you're going wrong or where you may be going wrong. Again, there's still like loads of bits. Sometimes you wonder, like, do you just fill in these bits because there's bits? Anyway, I've finished building but I may build something else and stay on a little bit longer if anyone is around, or I may just call it a night here. Now I am just building things and just putting things in place. How many guns do you have? If you have 2 guns. You never have short of guns. I hope everyone's had a lovely Christmas, by the way. Since it's been a bit different this year for me. Meh, I'm going to just decorate the floor. Here we are. The Mandalorian and the child. I'm going to give the child a saber. I'm not going to hold it. Never mind. The Mandalorian and the child. I think I'm going to carry on building because I've got a few Lego sets to build. And if anyone is enjoying my company or my rambles and my shares, please feel free to comment and enjoy and make sure that I am providing something of value and I'm not just rambling by myself, because I feel like I am. I'm going to build this next, which is the McLaren. Yes, I did them. I'm going to build the McLaren next, so this will be my next build. This too has been sitting around probably for like... Rob should get on. Rob is a great laugh. Is Rob here? Maybe you should both join me. I'll feel less alone. I'm just kidding. If you want to join me, feel free to let me know. Are you not streaming tonight, Kirsty, or have you given up on that idea now? Or did you stream earlier that I missed it? Not streaming today. Fair enough, fair enough. Is anyone in Coaching for Geeks around? Maybe we should jump on Coaching for Geeks. There's probably less interest for some people because it's a car instead of the Mandalorian. But either way, I've always enjoyed having a McLaren, so why not build a McLaren? Again, having goals, like I was talking to one of my CEO friends earlier. Again, it feels like I have not talked to many people today, so the CEO friend was a good conversation already. But he was asking me, he was like, do you have any material goals? I was like, no, not really. Like, even the material goal I had was having my sports car, which I had for 6.5, 7 years. So, you know, I had a good time with it.
Maggie 同埋阿 Emily。
Where was I? Yeah, material goals. And I was, yeah, I didn't really speak to much people today. Probably my fiance and a few others about Christmas. But my CEO friend asked me, do you have any material goals? I was like, well, not really. Other than like a house and a house really. Like the car that I have now is paid off, so I don't have to worry about paying off the car. It gets me A to B. It's not a fast car, but it gets me A to B. Now I asked him the same question because he's now a multi-millionaire, like a multi-millionaire, like a multi one. I asked him the same question. I was like, do you have any material goals now? Because literally you can buy anything you want now, right? Without worrying about money. And he's like, true? He goes, no, don't have a material goal. It's like Mercedes, Range Rover, AMG, you know, with the big luxury cars. And he's like, no interest. And he was like, I can take an Uber, I can cycle. And when a past CEO tells you that he's more interested in cycling than he is driving a fast car, kind of like the whole perception of having any material thing just goes out the window, right? And it's fascinating because I was talking to him and I was like, isn't it funny that we used to chase all these flashy fast cars and expensive flashy cars, and nowadays, you know, he's talking to me about I can get an Uber, I can hire a driver for a day if I need to get around anywhere. There's no need to own a car. There's no need to buy a fast car and have those big luxury material stuff. It's like, well, interesting. So what you can like, like money's not an issue for him nowadays. So it's like, what is material things still thinking? And he's like, even buying like labeled fashion clothing just to fit in. I think that's his thing, is being seen, or like what type of clothes he wears is, even then he doesn't really care, but he still kind of does, I think. It's like I think a perceived perception, I suppose, how others see you, right? Like, he couldn't care less if he wore some cheap jogging bottoms for a day and lounged around and whatnot. But when he goes out to like see people on meetings and interviews and stuff that he does on podcasts, then he's more willing to make an effort, shall we say. Even then, he doesn't wear shirts or ties or whatever anyway. So I don't know. It's a fun conversation I had with him. I was like, what material things do you spend your money on? And he was like, not much really. So, having a bank full of money, I was like, what are you doing with it? He was just like, invest in a few companies here and there. But other than that, I was curious. I did ask him, if he was losing his drive, like, because when he was building his company, he had something to work towards, right? He had a mission, he had a purpose. And when he sold his purpose to someone else who bought him out or sold his shares, whatever, he sold his purpose in a way, his drive every day that gets him up to do what he does every day. And so nowadays, I asked him, what drives you to do what you do every day now that you've sold your purpose as such, the company that you built? And he said, well, he's still quite involved in the company he sold. But obviously he doesn't get anything, he doesn't get paid for anything that he does with it. But he said he's just investing or like looking at new ventures and looking at new ideas, new visions. And it's important to have a vision. And Gary Vee says this all the time, right? The day Gary Vee buys the New York Jets is the day that he'd probably be the most unhappiest person in his life, because his goal is to buy the New York Jets. And once you achieve that goal, you become empty. And even if he can probably buy it now, regardless of what he has, he probably would not buy it, because if he does, he would lose his drive to do what he wants to do, which is to buy the New York Jets. Which is funny, right? You worked so hard towards something that you think you'd be happy when you buy that or get that thing. But when you get to that point and that destination, you become empty and you realize that it isn't actually the thing that you've been chasing all along. Food for thought. And which makes me think nowadays, what is it that's driving me nowadays? Helping others with their personal transformations, helping others with their digital business, getting them selling online, getting their business online. Ultimately, it's giving people their freedom back. Their freedom from emotional freedom, material freedom, being free to be who they are, being free to do what they want in their own time, being free to do what they love. And when I'm thinking about that more, what am I here to do? What am I here to do with my time? Like, time is so precious. Yet we're so happy to freely procrastinate on our mission, on our purpose, on things that what we really want to do. Like, we know we should be writing this book. We know we should be writing this article. We know we should be creating this content. It's like, okay, we know we should interview. Like, even on podcasts, like, I had a list of people I wanted to have on my podcast show, right? And once I got them onto the show, I felt, wow, I achieved something. But once I've achieved it, once I got them on, I felt empty again. And it's like this never-ending cycle. Who's next? Who's on my list next? And once I get them onto my podcast next, I get their content, I get to interview them, I get to speak to them, I get to have a conversation with them, I get to learn from them. And then what? Once I've had them on, and then what? I felt empty again. And it's this forever chasing. Like, where does this end? This conversation with the CEO definitely helped me today. It made me think more about what am I doing with my time. But more importantly, how am I using my time? Like, even now, I'm building Lego with my time instead of probably could be inviting other people onto my podcast show and pitching other hosts and stuff like that. And I'm not saying that taking time out for myself is a bad thing. It's definitely not. Because now I get to clarify my thoughts by doing this, right? It helps. Because I had such a deep conversation with him, I couldn't stop thinking about the things we were talking about. And so now I get to offload it on here, as I normally do. It helps me clarify my thoughts, my plans, my strategy, and becoming more clear about my own vision. And also I get to share it with you, right? What I've learned from the conversation with this CEO guy or friend. And just having, like, even the awareness that he has with himself. He's only late 20s, and he was talking about how now he's just interested in making a difference to companies that are on a bigger mission, bigger vision. Again, things that align with him. That's important to him, right? And so when I'm thinking what's important to me now, which is family, friends, my students, my mentees, progress, those are the kind of things that's more important to me right now than the material things that I used to chase. Like, even the whole PC thing, the PC build, right? Yes, I want a new PC so I can start streaming. But then once I start streaming, what happens then? I start streaming online, I start playing more games, I start talking to more people. Hopefully. I suppose that's the whole point of it. I start building a community. But then what is that community going to do? Now, the community that I had set up already, which is a digital circle, has so far just been about what's happening in the digital world, less such of what I'm teaching. That may change in the new year. And I suppose that will change in the new year when I start teaching more about digital strategies, but also how to grow yourself online or yourself as a person. I suppose that would change more. And what else was there? So yeah, building the online community is what is that community going to do? Now, the whole digital leadership circle, it's about building digital leaders, those that will change the world, the online world in their own communities. Honestly, I don't get cars. I just see a car. Yep, that's indeed a car. I'm excited to see how you grow even more alongside your mentees as well. Absolutely, Kirsty. I'll be growing with you and I'll be helping you with your growth. So I'll be excited to see how far we could push together. It's an absolute blessing to have you as my mentee because you actually get things done. I'm not saying my other mentees don't, but you all take action, which is very inspiring to see. And I love the fact that I have students that are taking action because there are some people that I worked with that don't even do anything with the stuff that I teach them. So it's always nice to know when people are taking action on things that they talk about instead of just talking about it, they're actually doing something about it. It's not about what they say, it's about what they do. And that's the difference between those that do things and those that don't do anything. Those that just say they want it and those that really want it will get things done. And I say this is about me as well because I'm guilty of this. Is that there was always things that I wanted, but there was times where I wasn't willing to do the work, like the whole thing like losing weight and eating properly, right? I wanted to lose weight, but I didn't want to give up the food, so I'm not going to lose weight. Simple as that. I'm not going to give up the pizzas. I'm not going to give up the other stuff, right? And the thing is, I'm not too fussed about the whole losing weight thing anyway. I did before, but now thinking about the more I thought about it, it was never about the weight. It was more about the energy. I don't know. Sometimes I feel very lazy. Probably, but at least you still get things done while you are lazy. So well done. I don't think I've set you easy things to do in a way. So it shouldn't be easy anyway. If it is, then maybe I have to start setting harder tasks. So the digital leadership, it's about creating digital leaders that's going to inspire the next generation. So whether that is through digital strategies, digital leadership, whether it's becoming a better version of themselves, I have no idea what that may look like, but I know there will be more people changing the world and I can't do it myself, so I will have to help others do it alongside with me. And that is the mission of that community. So it's not just going to be like a community of people that wants to play games and all such. It's more about action takers and leaders of their own communities. So it's going to be a hub of digital leaders or streamers who's already got a community but wants to grow personally further. So in fact, it's more empowering more leaders to step up and to overcome limitations. so that they can grow their own communities bigger and achieve more goals, personal goals. That is what that leader hub is going to be about. And now that I'm talking about it, the more clarity I'm getting over it, about it even, and what that could look like. Makes sense now. Yeah, the thing is, the streamers that I will be working with, or am working with already, have already established communities, but yet they want to grow themselves. So therefore, they ask me for the guidance and support, which I am providing, so that they can grow further and become better version of themselves, so they can help and grow their community members. So it's like a ripple effect, really. Interesting, eh? Starting to make more sense for myself. Do, 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 do. So that's what my leaders community is going to be about. Interesting, eh? Making sense, making more sense. And I'm repeating myself because I am loading in my brain about what that could potentially look like and what type of people I want to work with. People that wants to grow, people that wants to get things done, people that are looking to win more. And again, this is all making sense. Working with leaders that want to win more. Because essentially, we don't want to lose. Whatever winning and losing looks like doesn't matter as long as we make progress. That is the big part, is making progress. Oh, here's now you're going to watch me with my dodgy stickering skills. I'm not a fan of Lego stickers because I can never get the placement right. No, I'm not sure there is a technique to get stickers right. I don't know if that looks right. Never mind. You can't see it. Now, growing community leaders is probably the most fun part. Because these leaders want to inspire, influence, impact more people, which is all the things that I teach, by the way. I suppose it does make more sense in a way that if I can help community leaders grow their community, I'm in fact potentially helping more people than I actually realize, which is a good thing. If my message can help others or one person make a bigger difference in someone else's life, then my duty and my job is done. I could feel myself getting so annoyed if I had to build Lego. Really? Building Lego is like, it's the most relaxing part. This is when you actually get to, I suppose, think. If I had organized the parts more, I think I would have been easily less stressed because it's more organized, and you could find things easier than trying to scour through the bundle. But I thought I would just keep it like this for the sake of the streams. Everything is I don't know, less OCD. I could have organized everything in colored order, and it made my life much more easier. But I thought I might as well just try and do things like this. Do it the hard way. Therefore, I spend more time looking for the part than actually building it. Now, back to building, the fulfillment part of what you do. Next part is knowing what makes you fulfilled. Again, conversation I had with my friend earlier today. I asked him why did he exit the company that he built. Like, he built from the ground up. And he just said it was time. Like, he was tired of being just a CEO or a label. He was tied to a label, right? He was tied to being called the CEO all the time. And he just got tired of being a label. Got tied down to a label. So he sold himself out and got someone to buy him out, or whatever. I said, how did you know it was time? And he just said, well, I've done everything I want to do with the company. And the company now is worth like 300 odd million. And he felt like he's got to the point where he's done everything he wants to do with the company. And he just felt it's right for him to exit the company now and go off and do his own thing, whatever that is now. He's still working that one out, but as we speak, but he's been writing his book. He's been investing in companies that he's interested in. He's been doing more podcast interviews with other people. And I will see if I can actually get him onto my podcast at some point. I don't know if he would be interested in doing that because it's not really his audience, but who knows, right? Never say never. I may have a way of getting him on somehow. Again, never say never. We only have one life, one shot. Why not give it a go and see where you get with it? And the resilience we talked about earlier, that resilience of keeping going when you want to give up. You look at people like Anthony Joshua, right? Big AJ, world boxing champion. When he got hit down by Klitschko, and I watched this interview, well, it wasn't an interview, he was on a guest on Graham Norton, wasn't he? And when he got knocked down by Klitschko, and he was just flat on his ass on the canvas, he could have said, right, I gave it my all, I'm done. Or I could get up and fight and see how much further I can go. And if any of you watched that fight with AJ and Klitschko, you would have seen what Gary thought could have probably gone through his head. Like, he could have just said, yeah, I'm done. I gave it my all. I've got to a good place, I think I'll just lay here and just be done with it. And the funny thing is that, or you could have the other choice, which is, nah, I haven't given them all yet. I've still got a lot to do. So let's get up and continue fighting. And that's the resilience, I suppose, for any business or anything you do, whether it is business or whether it is streaming, whether it is making content. is knowing, are you done? Or do you have more to give? Do you have more to give than you actually do? Because when you have that resilience and you have that mentality to just keep fighting, like, life is a fight. I don't know if that's how other people see it. I see it as a fight. We're fighting with ourselves every day. We fight to show up. We fight. At the end of the day, we never know how much time we have left. And the scariest part, that's the scariest part, is we don't know how much time we have left, right? We don't know how much time we have left. And that's something we can never get back, is time. Next second, that's just past. We can never get back. And time is constantly running. It's a scary thought for some people. Some people may not enjoy this thought at all. But we are here for a limited time only, and there is a limit, there's a duration. So why not make the most of every day? Make the most of every time we have. And it's easier said than done, right? Much more easier said than done, because there's so many times when we're just procrastinating, not doing things that we should be doing or could be doing. Like earlier today, I was just working on projects instead of. I was working on projects because I had nothing else better to do, funny enough. I was building out my website pages. I was building my content pages. I was building out my media pages. Then I was working on the YouTube clips, like the notification, subscriber, things to make the videos look more prettier. They're not even essential things, but I know for making future content, they could prove useful. And I don't even know why I'm sharing this, because, again, I could have been using the time more effectively. Instead, I was playing around with, I would say they're essential. They're part of the looking good, or at least, hopefully, would make a difference in people subscribing to my video and not subscribing to my videos, or subscribing to my channel. And even for creating content, we have to please people. We have to make things that make people engage, people enjoy what we put out. Otherwise, they won't be listening to us. Like now, I'm keeping you engaged because I'm building Lego. If you had to sit here and just watch me build and talk, you may not be half as interested. I don't know. I'm just saying that because it seems a lot of my live videos, when I'm just talking to the camera, less people are willing to sit and listen. I don't know whether it's the way I talk, or I'm not influential enough. Who knows? But even then, this stream was just designed because I felt like just chatting and just clearing out my head with some thoughts and share them with you here. But also, if anyone wanted to join on and chat and be less lonely, I suppose, because it is Christmas and a lot of us are spending it alone, or not with some of our friends and family that we want to. That I have put this on, so if anyone fancies jamming, jamming on, it is there, and it is that option available for people. Because yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I felt a bit lonely today. Like normally I get to be with my fiance on Christmas, during Christmas. First time in 10 years that we aren't together, spending Christmas together, which sucks. But at least I get to spend it with some of you that's on here. That's keeping me company. But also, just, I suppose, a bit of gratitude helps. Especially in times like this. When we feel like we don't feel grateful and things like that. Like, it's easy to be sucked into the negativity world. And again, similar conversation I had with my friend earlier today. His ex called him and said, I'm so sorry that you have to spend Christmas by yourself this year. And he said, why are you sorry? And she said, well, because normally we should be spending Christmas with our friends and family. Now that language, should be spending Christmas with friends and family. Who defined that? Who said we should be spending friends and family or Christmas with friends and family? Like, whose ideal was that? Who said we can't be alone on Christmas? And yeah, who said we can't be alone on Christmas? Like, who says we have to be with friends and family? And she said, oh, you should be, and I'm so sorry to hear that you are spending it alone. And he was like, that's absolutely okay. And my friend is very okay with being himself and being by himself. So it's just like, interesting perception, eh? We should be spending it with friends and family, but we could also be happy by ourselves. As long as you are okay with your own company. That was something that I was talking about earlier, this stream. As long as you're okay with being with yourself and spending time with yourself, it's absolutely okay with whatever you do. You don't have. It's nice to spend Christmas with friends and family. I agree. It's definitely more blissful, or more. I'm at least more grateful that I get to do that whilst my family is around me and my parents, because I know some friends and families don't get to have both of their parents with them this year, and I'm just grateful that I still do for now, and I will cherish that, right? And I will cherish that because I know there is a certain limitation of when parents do go, and that's just a fact, and it's a fact we have to live with. Same with the time that we have around here. I know some of my friends that have left us early. Like, they have the whole future ahead of them, and some of them decide to take their lives early and not be around anymore. And some didn't have that choice. Some was just accidents. And so I'm grateful that I have the opportunity to do what I do, because I know they would have wanted to do the same thing had they had the choice. Given the choice, even, they would have loved to do what I'd be doing. And so I do it for them. A lot of what I do is because they remind me of what I can be doing and what I should be doing instead, which is helping others. Because they would have done similar things as I would have. They may not have been in coaching, but they would have helped others had they been around to this date. Just the people they were. Like, they were so kind-hearted, compassionate, and an absolute joy to be around. So it's unfortunate that they aren't around anymore, but it reminds me of how much gratitude I should have for having the choice to do what I do and being able to do what I do. Never take for granted, because I know how unfortunate some others have it more than I do. It's a sad reality, I suppose, but it's the truth. And the more we are willing to accept the truth, the more free we are able to do what we do. And so, back to the stickers. And having the gratitude to do what I do means that I need to focus on how to stick stickers. I messed this one up. Never mind. You see, this is the part of Lego that I'm not a fan of, is actually sticking stickers. Building it is not a problem. But trying to get the stickers to look right when you're building it. Any helps. So having the gratitude to know that I could be doing what I'm doing because some of my friends couldn't, or not around anymore to do so, has played a huge part in my perception. And also, I think it's just sad knowing that they're not around anymore, which is not nice to talk about. But moving on. Moving on is that time is precious, and it's important to be able to make choices in what we do, but also in what we what we don't do as well. And so, back to limited time. Anyway, where was I? I feel like I'm distracted by Lego here. What was I talking about? I lost my train of thought again. I'm loading. Let me reload. If someone wants to remind me what I was talking about, where I was, please feel free to do so. Whilst again, I try and stick some stickers. Watching someone else struggle to build Lego is relaxing. Thanks, Kirsty. I appreciate that. I'm glad my suffering is your pleasure. Hey, Rob, I just saw your message as well. Yeah, get your breakfast, and then if I'm still building, then feel free to jump on. But once I'm done with this, I think I may finish the stream. Friends not being around anymore, inspiring to do things they can't. Yeah, I mean, I've had it. Don't want to dive into that topic because it is very grim and sad, and it is Christmas, so we shouldn't be talking about that. But you know, they played a huge part in inspiring me. Well, at least change my perspective in life anyway, that time is short. And knowing that time is short, I suppose pushes me to step up even more, right? It makes me appreciate more of what I can be doing, what I should be doing, and what I need to stop procrastinating on. Like even I feel like the whole PC build, trying to get people to help build the PC or contribute towards building the PC, it's another way of procrastination, of me not just getting it now and get started really. Because the thing is, I think I'm holding myself back by doing that, like waiting for the build to come through slowly by helping others, when in fact I can actually just buy it now and just be like, get it over and done with, and literally crack on with it, basically. Like just get on with starting, because I feel like I'm holding myself back by waiting for people to have the option to buy my time or for me. Again, I could be just, who knows, whether I am, probably am, more procrastinating, waiting for some people to help me contribute, build my PC, than me just getting it and just getting on with the mission. I suppose it doesn't, like, I can just start connecting with people now, and it doesn't stop me from helping others now with coaching and streaming. But I suppose having your own streaming in the community helps if you are helping others with it, that you are doing something in the community too. You're good to join. Awesome, bro. Let me try and get you in. Kirsty, would you like to join us too? because I feel like we will be having a nice three-way discussion here. I will send you the link, Kirsty. If you fancy joining, please feel free to join. If you don't fancy it, you don't have to. But the choice and the option is there since Rob is joining us. Be nice to have you on too. You're too tired. Well, I sent you the link. It's up to you whether you want to join us or not. Hello, Rob.
Hello.
How are you doing, bro?
I am doing all right. Thank you very much, Jono. It's a lovely, bright, hot and steamy Boxing Day morning here in Cairns, Queensland, Australia.
It's nice and cold over this side if you want to swap. I think it's like a minus one outside.
Bloody heck.
It's 1. It's not far off. What you got plans for today then?
Not much really. I had lunch with family yesterday and dinner with friends, and I think today is just pretty much going to be a loaf around the house kind of day. I'll probably be sweeping some stuff up and tidying up, but I don't know. I pretty much want to take it easy. I do have a friend of mine who's going to be going out and doing some shopping though, so I might potentially be joining her for that, depending on when she's going. But yeah, I am just planning a nice lazy day today.
Fair enough. Is everything open now over your side then?
A lot of stuff I think is reopening for Boxing Day. Most everything just closes for Christmas Day specifically, but technically it is still a public holiday, but a lot of stuff does reopen for a little bit.
How's lockdown for you guys there?
It has been kind of minimal, I will admit.
Interesting.
I'm just trying to get my ruddy sound setting sorted out again. Yeah, I am glad that I have been in a part of the world that, even though we've got an international airport, has been really only, at least personally anyway, marginally affected by lockdown. We're not in any lockdowns ourselves at the moment, although just recently the border between New South Wales and Queensland was closed again because a cluster did pop up. So it seems to be more on a state-by-state basis, and then pretty much individual areas if people start coming down with COVID-19 again. Which means, thankfully, up my way, life has, for the last few months, pretty much continued on as normal, although we've still got all the stickers on the floor, the floors of shops everywhere saying, stand here stand here in the queue and then move to there when the next person moves on. So lockdown measures are, not necessarily lockdown measures, but at least physical distancing measures are still in place and strongly encouraged.
Unlike us in the UK then with tier 4 lockdowns.
No, definitely not like the way things are going in the UK at the moment. We do keep hearing about that and how, things sort of like get opened up and then it's like back down again.
Yep.
No,
yeah, not a fun Christmas this year for many of us.
I can imagine not. No, I've got to give my Aunt Heather a call sometime this evening and wish her a Merry Christmas. But she lives in Manchester. But yeah, how about yourself? How's your Christmas been? And it looks like you got yourself some fun presents there.
Well, I had these fun presents about half a year ago. I just never had the time to build them. Just like to literally just sit down and be like, let's have a Lego evening. And
Why
I thought,
not?
what better way to spend Christmas than just to hang online, stream.
That is a thought, actually. I'm probably, if I wind up doing anything a little bit on the silly side, I did splurge on Cyberpunk 2077 yesterday, although I'm kind of discovering how hardcore it is graphically and how much I'm having to ramp my settings on my laptop down just to be able to run it at a decent frame rate. But it still looks beautiful, I will say. But yeah, I've got a bunch of miniatures for the Infinity line that I've been slowly putting together on and off for the past few months. So I think I might just get stuck back into those. I've got 3 that have been I've undercoated and put base colors on. And I'm keen to kind of get them finished and looking very nice. I think that will be, if anything, so it'll probably wind up being a similar setup to yourself, although with a little bit more newspaper and a few more paintbrushes.
I never got into those painting models.
I've been into it on and off for years, more off than on, I will admit. The Warhammer line, which is of course pretty much known globally, is I've always found a bit dicey because you have to. I kind of lost enthusiasm for trying to make a huge army, and then they started putting out these rules for skirmish games where we only needed about 5 or 10 miniatures aside, which seemed pretty nice. And that's one of the things I like about Infinity, because you don't need all that many, although I think right at the moment, and that's another fun thing, I am kind of semi on call at the moment. I'm just okay. Thankfully, that's nothing for me to worry about. For work, just keeping a weather eye on the system over the Christmas New Year break and needing to respond where necessary. But yeah, I'm not going to complain. It gives me a little bit of overtime cash, so that's always good.
That's nice.
Yes. But yeah, I don't know. The Infinity minutes I'm painting up really fit my sleek futures and cool machines vibe. They are really nice looking, I find. So I'm, at the same time enjoying painting them, but also intimidated by how much detail there is on them, and making sure I try and pick as much of it up as I can and make it look good.
I don't think I've got eyes for detail, so I don't think I'd be really good for that. It's similar to how those guys that do the Gundam builds.
Yeah, all the
model Gundams.
Yeah, all the bloody model kits that you can get for those things. Yes.
Like how detailed people go into smoothing out and making it look so good, and all the lines and things like that. I'm just happy to just build it and just put it together and be like, here you
go. Yeah. I mean, even these aren't quite that bad, but you still have to do a little bit of prep and trying to find if there are any mold lines on the individual pieces and then gluing them together, and even having to hand drill little holes in them because sometimes the joints as they aren't good enough. One of my larger miniatures, the joint actually of the left arm actually popped off, even though I thought I'd had it glued pretty well. The glue got brittle, and so yeah, I'm looking at having to do a little bit of drilling and seeing if I can put a small thin metal rod in each end and using that as a basis for a stronger bond. Yeah, all the intriguing little intricacies that come up in this bloody hobby.
That's why it's a hobby, right?
Of course, yes. And what I think,
if you get paid full time, I suppose you would make more effort.
I suppose it's. I know some people who have painted miniatures and gotten paid for doing it, but at the pace I like to go at, it's pretty much for me. It feels like that's a pure hobby for me. That's just for me. And if I started taking commissions, I would probably it will probably wind up wrecking it for me. I think it's my personal outlet. I've got other hobbies I wouldn't mind monetizing, if you know what I mean.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, any other plans, or just chilling today with that?
Yep. For the moment, just chilling out. A little cleaning up, a little bit of spending time with me dog, and maybe a little bit of nipping out and doing some shopping a little later on. But I am just going to enjoy taking it as easy as I can, I reckon.
Which is decent.
Oh, but I'm just checking the comments, by the way. I saw Kirsty's a bit too tired to join on. She's having a lazy evening too.
Not surprised. She's had an intense few days.
Yes, I did see the gingerbread house making stream that she did with Sean.
And then followed on by a gaming night with Robin afterwards.
Ah, yes, the big party.
Followed by yesterday's stream as well.
I think I did wind up catching. Yeah, I caught some of that in the morning my time. So yeah, she's completely understand you wanting to take a break there, Kirsty.
It's an intense few days.
Yes.
Are you starting to stream as well then?
I don't think so. I like popping up on other people's streams, case in point, but I think I wound up on one of Robin's Fix My Twitch streams and sort of asked about what the benefits of streaming would be. And the general opinion back seemed to be more that I would likely benefit more from doing YouTube videos and say like tutorials and advice on running role-playing game sessions or playing in a game and game mastering, because that's kind of where my brand is going at the moment. And I think it benefits. From what I've seen, YouTube does tend to work better for that rather than streaming. And the
streaming is more for conversations.
Yes.
Spud TV. Sam, great to see you, Spud TV / Sam. Now that I know the real person. I suppose if you are doing tutorials and hardware settings and stuff, definitely YouTube for sure. It's more informative. But if you're having quick stream catch-ups, similar to a person that Kirsty loves watching as well, who I introduced her to, Harris Heller does. Harris Heller does more technical setups about how to set up OBS, how to do transitions, what hardware and software to use for streams. He's a good watch, very insightful. But I think you could get similar. He does more gadget reviews as well, like tech reviews. So I suppose you could reference a lot what he does. He's very good at what he does as well. And he does have a lot of great advice for streaming as well, which Kirsty gets a lot of out of as well. He's someone that I admire and respect a lot in the industry.
Right.
He's a very great guy. Very humble as well, which I like. You rarely get humble streamers when they're that big. Well, I suppose personal values just align a lot.
I just found his YouTube channel, Alpha Gaming.
Yep, that's the one. I refer most people to his stream.
Yeah.
He's got great content. And he makes decent, great content to watch.
Mm.
But there's a lot to learn from him.
I've got to admit, thanks to a rather generous Christmas gift from my father, I was actually half tempted to look at getting an Xbox Series X, but no one seems to have them in stock right at the moment. I wonder why. Yeah, and B, I don't know, part of me wants to try and keep that money, even though it's fun money, so it's pretty much that part of my budget that is really, Rob, who cares? If you want something with the money, spend the money on it. But I don't know, part of me's turning into a little bit of a hoarder. I wouldn't mind just trying to keep a minimum amount in the bank, such that if I do want something big, like, if I want to go on a trip or something like that, I've got it there. I think part of me almost does want to spend money a bit more on getting out rather than staying in. So, yeah, I mean, my current Xbox One just pretty much sits under my TV, and most of the time it's I use it for YouTube and Twitch and Netflix and things like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Let's talk about material stuff, whether it's going to actually help you or aid you, or if it's just fun money, right?
Yeah.
Like nowadays, I'm more interested in investing in how to help the business grow, or how to invest in more systems and things that actually streamline processes and stuff, rather than just spending on fun and games.
Yeah.
Like there's one thing I don't get about Xbox, is that not just a PC?
Well, I mean, that's a tricky question, isn't it?
Like the parts and everything it runs on, is it not just similar to a PC?
Well, really, if you open up the guts of most things, aren't they all just, a motherboard with various processors attached? I have no doubt we've had people who have hacked PlayStations and possibly even Nintendo GameCubes to run Linux and what have you on.
Really?
So it's almost you could almost ask the question nowadays, what isn't a PC? I mean, but I know what you mean. If you, I think an Xbox, at least I don't think you would be able to buy the specific parts. Which I think back in the old days when the original Xbox came out, there was this idea that people would be able to kind of make their own Xboxes, be able to buy similar parts and perhaps even run the Xbox OS on them. But I think that pretty much went by the wayside very quickly. Although I do remember more often than not, yes, back in the day, the original Xbox, there were people doing videos about how they'd hacked it and, put in a separate hard drive and were running Linux or other operating systems on it. So yeah, that is an interesting question, and probably someone with a little bit more technical nous than me would be best off answering.
I just had that perception, or heard previously, that Xbox was like a PC. That probably would have changed by now.
Yeah.
But it's probably like harder to build build a PlayStation with PC parts than it is. Well,
most likely, yeah.
Sam the Spud TV says original PS3 used to allow Linux OS. It got broken after Sony withdrew support. Fun facts.
Yeah,
I didn't know that, but that was interesting. But yeah, I just keep thinking Xbox is like a PC, so I never got on with the Xbox, so I don't know why. I never got on with the controllers with the Xbox.
No,
so I never got on with it.
For me, the Xbox was because I have pretty big hands, so I tried the PlayStation controller once or twice, and I felt like I was doing this half the time trying to play it. It was physically uncomfortable to use. So I did, even though what they wound up calling the Duke that big ass Xbox controller, it perhaps even then might have been a little bit too large, but it still felt more like it fit my hand. And I'm glad to say at least, you know, the current gen, or actually I should say last gen, because this is an Xbox One controller, not a Series X one, still sort of fits my hands reasonably okay. It's not uncomfortable for me to use.
Fair enough.
But yeah, funnily enough, the Xbox was my first ever gaming console. I had never had any. I missed the Nintendo generation and the PlayStation, pretty much because mum and dad weren't the kind who would buy me a gaming console for a birthday or Christmas or what have you, and I there wasn't enough to get my interest until I actually tried Halo on the Xbox. And it was the first person shooter that I wasn't nauseous from motion sickness of within 5 minutes of starting to play. I think in part because it had a lot of outdoor environments, and also because, in a way, because it was on the Xbox and you had the controller, movement was a lot more slow through it. Whereas I, play things like Unreal Tournament, and, on the keyboard, you'd press the W key to move forward and you'd be immediately sprinting, and that would throw me off. So yeah, I've kind of been an Xbox man since, really.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe it's just inertia that kind of keeps me on the platform, but I think I've just got enough stuff that I really couldn't be bothered switching away. If there's anything I actually want back, it's a working Xbox 360, because I want to plug my Kinect back in and play Child of Eden, which was a Kinect dedicated game. I wouldn't mind finishing that someday. And because you can't play the Guitar Hero games on the Xbox One, god damn it.
I have crossover issues.
No, I've got my Guitar Hero 2 controller still in the box, or packed it back away in the box, I should say. And I'd love to have a 360 again sometime, so I could just crank it out and have fun with that again.
I suppose that's when you stay with one console, you find it hard to switch.
Yeah, kind of.
Because I think I started on the Super Nintendo. And then went on to the Sony PlayStation 1, and then PlayStation 2, and then 3, and then 4. So it's just like I never left the Sony world as such. Mainly because I think most of the games that I played always was Sony-based games.
Yeah.
Mainly like Final Fantasy. And I think that's the only reason why I've actually stayed mostly with Sony was because of Final Fantasy games.
Yeah. It's still amazing. It still amazes me that you can actually play Alien Isolation on the ruddy Nintendo Switch nowadays.
The what?
Alien Isolation, if you've ever heard of it.
No, I don't think I played it.
Oh, came out back in 2014, and it's basically the best game ever made within the Alien franchise.
Is this the one with Alien versus Predator?
Alien versus Predator is a separate game.
Oh, right, okay.
No, Alien Isolation is quite different. Technically, it's a first-person shooter, but it's actually more of a first-person hider. Because you play a person, Ellen Ripley's daughter, who is wandering around this decrepit space station trying to find clues as to what happened to her mother, because apparently the black box flight recorder from the ship from the first film, the Nostromo, has been found and recovered. But the problem is, A, it's a decrepit space station. B, you've got paranoid people who are armed and don't really like other people that much. They're looking out for themselves. You've got a bunch of cheap-ass androids who don't appear to be obeying the 3 laws of robotics anymore for some odd reason. And there's an alien on board, and you can't kill it. And it goes wandering around looking for you. So basically, you've got to get through all these environments that you find yourself in and achieve your objectives whilst trying to stay out of sight and out of hearing. I mean, if there's a game that I found myself really having my headphones on and relying on what I could hear, not just the noises around me and the noises that the alien would make when it was moving through the vents or when it dropped out and started prowling around, but also the noises that I was making when I was moving around. It was that one. It was very tense. There are probably a lot of YouTube videos out there of people freaking out while playing it.
That sounds like a good game.
Yeah, no, it came out on all platforms, and I think a couple of years ago they actually did a Nintendo Switch port for it. So, yes, youngsters can experience the terror too.
So Sam says Alien Isolation is great. I'm gonna have to search this now because I'm intrigued.
Yeah. We've got Jono reaching for his keyboard.
Yeah, but it's underneath my desk, so I'm just like I'm guessing keys.
And one of the things I really had to love about it was that they actually wound up getting almost all of the original cast of Alien back to record additional dialogue as their characters, including Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. And they even went as far as putting out some downloadable content. There are a couple of parts in the beginning of the game that are obviously inspired by the set design of the original movie. But I saw some of the making ofs of the game where they did so much bloody research and got so much material of 20th Century Fox, where they were even able to pretty much recreate the original set of Alien, the interior of the Nostromo. And also all 6 of the 7 original cast members. They didn't get John Hurt back, and they didn't get Ian Holm. They wound up having to get a sound-alike for him. But Harry Dean Stanton, Veronica Cartwright, Yaphet Kotto, Tom Skerritt, and Sigourney Weaver, they all got back. And they actually wound up doing this module where they got you to choose whether you wanted to play Ripley, Dallas, or Parker, and go through the Nostromo trying to trap the alien. And yeah, it was great. Actually kind of being able to hear all their voices again.
Oh, let me just watch this.
Yes.
So we've heard that Alien Isolation is scary. Well, we wanted to find out.
All right, let me.
Oh, jeez. Oh, okay. Crouch.
I can hear that.
You should get that fixed, man. Let's just pretend I didn't see that thick guy. Nope. No. That's not okay. Oh, there's a scene where alien bursts out of his chest. Baller. Space breakfast. Look at that brand. You can get cornflakes, bran flakes, and image.
Oh, where's the scary parts?
Oh man, the lights are off.
Now, if there's one thing you do get pretty familiar with in playing that game, it's the inside of a locker.
Oh, yeah, I suppose you get familiar.
Yes, there are a lot of places to dive for cover, and lockers tend to be the one that you wind up in, hiding in the most often.
Open up this bad boy with the torch.
I suppose yeah, I can see how intense it can be when you're listing out for an alien.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mother, he's up there.
Oh, that's funny. I'll watch that later.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm all done over here. So If you
No worries, mate. It's
you're
what?
looking to-
Is it midnight?
it's coming
up
to quarter to
Yeah.
12.
Well,
So,
no worries, mate. Yeah, I'm pretty much done. So yeah, you go collapse, go take it easy, and we'll no doubt catch up again some other time. Either I'll pop back on, a chat, or we'll all wind up on Kirsty's stream trying to kill each other in Among Us.
Yep. Enjoy your Boxing Day and have a lovely time off.
You too, mate. All the best.
You too. Take care.